This is a report from MLB Insider Hector Gomez. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it, right? I think that the Astros have done a really good job over the last couple of seasons of walking away from contracts that probably would shrink their World Series winning window a bit. Because they are not as cash strapped as some of the biggest spenders in baseball. Clearly, the Padres and Mets, the Dodgers and Yankees. They're not there. Not to say they're far away, but we have seen them walk away from George Springer's contract, even though everyone loved him, and this is a guy that we look at as like the heart and soul of this team. You saw them walk away from Carlos Correa, universally loved in Houston. Those two have injury issues, so maybe that's why. Walking away from Justin Verlander this offseason. Walking away from Garrett Cole. And generally it's worked out, which should not be a predictor going forward that if the Astros continue to not give guys long-term contracts, that they'll continue to be this good. No, at some point you do have to pay people, and that's why you give them credit for the Yordan Alvarez contract, and you give them credit for the Christian Javier contract. But it sounds like Framber Valdez could be signing an extension with the Houston Astros by opening day. Per Hector Gomez, according to a person close to the talks, he's looking for a contract of $150 million and more. Valdez was unbelievably consistent this past season, and considering coming out of the 2021 World Series where he looked disastrous against the Atlanta Braves, considering that, he deserves a lot of credit. I think he has silenced a lot of doubters or skeptics, semi-skeptics like myself. I wasn't 100% sure that last year he'd be able to do what he did, but he did, and he deserves credit for it. $150 million, though. Dana Brown said that he's going to be aggressive when it comes to long-term extensions with Astros players, and that's clearly happening based off of Hector Gomez's report with Framber Valdez, and we'll see if that deal is done by opening day. But it is surprising that this is someone the Astros are looking at and saying, yeah, we're going to pay him ace money. I'm not really feeling this as opposed to Kyle Tucker extension. Am I wrong in thinking that the Astros should prioritize a positional player of Tucker's varying skills over a pitcher? Like, at some point, they got to keep one of the players around. You're not just going to be able to replace them the way that you have successfully replaced, to an extent, Springer. But, I mean, have you really? Like, Kyle Tucker's just taken over as the number one outfielder on this team. And with Correa, obviously, with Jeremy Pena having the rookie season that he did and the postseason that he did, you were able to fill the void with those guys. Are you going to be able to do that with Kyle Tucker? I'm surprised that the $2.5 million of a sticking point in arbitration honestly were a sticking point at all for the Astros. And I'm surprised that Kyle Tucker is not the person we're talking about for a potential extension right now. It is Framber Valdez. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, but I am a tad skeptical just because of the fact that the Astros seem to be operating differently than they have in years past. And change is sometimes good, but this is uncharted territory for them, spending big to keep players around long term. They haven't done that. Like, Josh Reddick's the biggest contract that they gave to a positional player, longest contract that they gave to a positional player, essentially over the entirety of the Jim Crane, Jeff Luhnow / James Click era.